Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Aprilmarillion. This is my own little ad hoc event where we are reading through the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. This was an explication in great detail of all of his notes and sketches and various finished, completed pieces of the legendarium underpinning The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. This was put together by his son and by Guy Gavriel Kay and into a book, and we are going through it bit by bit. We are in the Quenta Silmarillion. A part of the Silmarillion that will eventually detail the creation of the Silmarils, which are the MacGuffins at the center of this book, just as the Rings of Power and the One Ring are at the center of the Lord of the Rings. And we are at another short chapter. These short chapters at the beginning are dealing with the Valar, who are the gods. Basically, they are the gods of Middle-earth. They have a god of their own, Eru Ilúvatar, who is born. He birthed all of them. They can't do anything without him. They are entirely subservient to him, with one exception. There is one evil god who is not. Eru, with the merest flick of his power, could eliminate all of them or change anything that they do. Eru alone has the flame imperishable. He alone has the ability to make things live, including them. But even so, Eru is not part of the world of Arda. The Valar go to Arda to make it their own. To shape it, and also to await the awakening of the two groups of living beings that were featured in the song of Eru Ilúvatar, the children of Ilúvatar, elves and men. They were going to feature so prominently in The Hobbit and especially in Lord of the Rings. Elves, we're told, are fair, they are immortal, they can be killed physically or they can waste away from grief, but otherwise they live forever and always young. They seem to lodge at a certain age and don't ever get older than that, whereas men have what is disturbingly called the gift of Ilúvatar. They die. They die just completely. They go out of the world. They are mortal. And a little bit more prone to grubbiness, a little bit more prone to greed, we're told. I would maintain that the book does not bear that out. Elves do not seem morally any better than men, but they are different in that key way, in that elves are immortal and men are not. And we are up to chapter 2 in the Quenta Silmarillion, which is called Of Aule and Yavanna, who are two of the Valar. And this chapter has a very discreet reason for being. Because we are told that the children of Ilúvatar, elves and men, elves are the firstborn, men are the followers. So the elves will be born first in the world, and then men will follow. And they will have great destinies. They will be great people. But during lots of the time when Tolkien was thinking about this stuff, and during lots of the time when he was writing these little sketches and bits and pieces, large chunks of The Lord of the Rings had already been written. So Tolkien already knows when he's getting to this chapter that there are going to be other races of beings in Middle-earth other than elves and men. And, well, what about them? What about them? You can't say trolls, because trolls were made from other living things by Melkor. He didn't make them on their own. And you can't say orcs for the same reason. But what about other living things in the world? Other living sentient things in the world? Well, readers of The Lord of the Rings can think of two things right off the top of their head. Dwarves and Ents. Dwarves and Ents are neither firstborn nor men. They are not mentioned, as far as we know, in the Song of Ilúvatar, and yet they are definitely in Middle-earth. They are self-propagating sentient species who are not either mortal or elves. So what about them? Well, this chapter of Aule and Yavanna gives us that. It explains the mythological origins of that, because Aule is the smithy god. He's the equivalent of Vulcan. And he decides, keep in mind, the children of Ilúvatar have not woken up yet. The Valar have seen their awakening in the Song of Ilúvatar, but the event hasn't happened yet. And Aule is eager. He's eager for the children of Ilúvatar to awaken, so that he will have someone to teach his smithcraft to. Why he can't teach his smithcraft to the Maiar, who we are told are the servants and the cupbearers of the Valar, why that isn't good enough, I have no idea. He does teach his smithcraft to the Valar, to some of the Maiar, including one called Sauron. But why isn't that good enough? Why does he need to teach it to made beings in the Song of Ilúvatar? That's not made clear, but he wants to do that, and so he takes it into his head to create his own beings. beings that were not in the Song of Iluvatar. He makes dwarves. And because the power of Melkor was yet over the earth, he wished, therefore, that they should be strong and unyielding. But fearing that the other Valar might blame his work, he wrought in secret. He made the 7 fathers of the dwarves in a hall under the mountains of Middle-earth. But Iluvatar knows it, because apparently he knows everything. And he comes to Aule in a voice. It isn't 100% clear that he's actually present there. So again, more echoes of the Christian God, of Yahweh. Now, Iluvatar knew what was done, and in the very hour that Aule's work was complete, and he was pleased, and began to instruct the dwarves in the speech that he had devised for them, Iluvatar spoke to him, and Aule heard his voice and was silent. And the voice of Iluvatar said to him, Why hast thou done this? Why dost thou attempt a thing which thou knowest is beyond thy power and thy authority? For thou hast from me as a gift thine own being only, and no more. And therefore the creatures of thy hand and mine can live only by that being, moving when thou thinkest to move them, and if thou thought be elsewhere, standing idle. Is that thy desire? Okay, so what Iluvatar is saying here is that he gave Aule life, independent life, being life, and that Aule doesn't have the ability or the authority, there's a hierarchy in heaven here, to do that himself. He can't make living things on his own, nor can anyone else, which is why Sauron can't make orcs or trolls. He can only warp them from things that are already made. Iluvatar wants to know, why did you do this when you know this is true? And your beings don't have any movement on their own. When you're not thinking about them, they'll just stand still. And Aule answers him, I did not desire such lordship. I desired things other than I am, to love and to teach them, so that they too might perceive the beauty of Ea, that's the world, that thou hast caused to be. Got to suck up, because you might be in danger here. For it seems to me that there is great room in Arda for many things which might rejoice in it, and yet for the most part it is empty, still, and dumb. And in my impatience I have fallen into folly. Yet the making of things is in my heart from my own making by thee, and the child of little understanding that makes a play of the deeds of his father may do so without thought of mockery, but because he is his son of his father. But what shall I do now, so that thou be not angry with me forever? As a child of his father I offered these things to you, to work of my hands which thou hast made. Do with them what thou wilt, but should I not rather destroy the work of my presumption? And he grabs a hammer to destroy the dwarfs that he has just made. And we have this touching picture. That is the first moment of the dwarfs, is that their own creator is going to destroy them. But Iluvatar has compassion on Aule, and says that because of his humility, the dwarfs shrank from the hammer and were afraid, and they bowed their heads down and begged for mercy. And the voice of Iluvatar said to Aule, Thy offer I accepted even as it was made. Dost thou not see that these things have now a life of their own, and speak with their own voices? Else they would not have flinched from thy blow, nor from any command of thy will. And Aule cast down the hammer, and was glad, and he gave thanks to Iluvatar, saying, May Eru bless my work, and amend it. I think Eru is lying here. I could be wrong. I think he's lying. The elves cower when Aule grabs the hammer before Eru grants them life. Clearly they do. I think that probably Aule and maybe all the rest of the Valar have the ability to create things that are alive. But either way, Eru has now granted the dwarves sentience, independent sentience. But that doesn't mean they get to ruin his plan. He has a plan. Even as I gave being to the thoughts of the Aenir at the beginning of the world, this is Eru speaking, so now I have taken up thy desire and given it a place therein. But in no other way will I amend thy handiwork. As thou hast made it, so shall it be. But I will not suffer this, that these should come before the firstborn of my design, nor that thy impatience should be rewarded. They shall sleep now in the darkness under the stone, and shall not come forth until the firstborn have awakened upon the earth. And until that time thou and they will wait, though it may seem long. But when the time comes, I will awaken them, and they shall be to thee as children, and often strife shall arise between thine and mine, the children of my adoption, and the children of my choice. So the dwarfs squeak by on a technicality. They actually were the first sentient beings made, and the first ones awake. We don't know what they say to each other. They don't say anything. We don't know what they think. But the 7 dwarf kings are alive, and then they are not. They are put in suspended animation, so they're not killed. They will awaken, but not right away. Technicality has to be observed. The firstborn have to come first. But we're going to get another technicality here. We're going to get another one. Because Aule goes to Yavanna, another of the Valar who is not she's not a smithy god. She's more like Demeter, like Ceres. She's involved with the living world, with plants and trees and little animals and whatnot. And she is disturbed by what she sees. Aule is clearly meaning the dwarves to be smithies and hewers of wood after him, after his own example, and she's worried about the welfare of the living things in Arda. She doesn't make anything on her own because she's a chick, so she goes to the gods. She goes to Manwë, who is basically Eru Ilúvatar's emissary in Arda. He is the one who knows Eru's mind the most, and she says to him that she is worried about the living things on earth. My heart is anxious, thinking of the days to come. All my works are dear to me. Is it not enough that Melkor should have marred so many? Shall nothing that I have devised be free of the dominion of others? If thou hadst thy will, what wouldst thou reserve? Said Manwë. Of all thy realm, what dost thou hold dearest? Okay, why does she have to pick one? If you have the ability to save things, to protect them, why does she have to pick the thing she loves the most? Why does she get only one choice? All have their worth, said Yavanna, and each contributes to the worth of the others. But the Kelvar can flee or defend themselves. Those are the little beasts of the field. Whereas the Olvar that grow cannot. And among these I hold trees dear. Long in the growing, swift shall be their felling, unless they pay toll with fruit upon bough little mourned in their passing. So I see in my thought, would that the trees might speak on behalf of all things that have roots, and punish those that wrong them. That is a strange thought, said Manwë. Yet it is in the song, said Yavanna. For while thou wert in the heavens, and with Ulmo built the clouds and poured out the rains, I lifted up the branches of the great trees to receive them, and some sang to Ilúvatar amidst the wind and rain. So the first trees, some of them, had voices. They sang. They weren't just plants. And Manwë agrees. He agrees to amend, that Ilúvatar will amend the song. Really, we're told that the song isn't amended. In other words, there are just chords in it that you didn't hear before. That also strikes me as cheating. But the song is amended so that, let's see here, when the children awake, then the thought of Yavanna will awake also, and it will summon spirits from afar, and they will go among the Kelvar and the Olvar, and some will dwell therein and be held in reverence, and their just anger shall be feared. A clear look ahead to the march of the Ents. For a time, while the firstborn are in their power, and while the secondborn are young. And that satisfies Yavanna, that there will be spirits in the trees. There will be guardians for the Olvar, for the things that have roots and can't move to defend themselves. And so that is chapter 2, and it is making provisions for the appearance of the dwarves and the appearance of the Ents later on. So with that it was very short. It gets its own picture, but it's very short. So we're going to wrap this up and move on. So we'll go to the next chapter next time, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.